This episode is dedicated to my granddad, Vincent.
Oh, hello, and welcome to episode, oh goodness me, 12 of We Need to Talk About ... I am the Big Daddy D, and oh, I do feel queer.
And I am Luke Murphy.
Luke, we've actually got that in the script where Luke launches into a Sid James laugh. Good to see you've been working on it. Anyway, we've already gone off script. After the last couple of episodes of our show, it's safe to say that your favourite caffeinated and alcohol-fueled documentarians are feeling a little bit chop-sockied out with the martial arts training that we did a few months ago.
Very, very definitely.
Hence the reason why we've taken a bit of a break since our last episode. Now we're back, instead of traipsing across Tinseltown or even exploring the world of Golden Harvest and the sort of surrounding territories, it feels like we need to do something a little bit close to home. Closer as in sort of Pinewood Studios. Close.
Yes, very, very much so.
That means for this episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. Something very different.
Infamy! We've all got it in for me!
Fuck you!
Turned rather chilly all of a sudden.
I see you've got a little plastic.
It keeps my dangler ball.
Give it here! For the last time, stop calling it a dangler! It's a storm! That would teach them to bend turbans on the buses.
Confused? Well, if you live outside the United Kingdom or are below a certain age, then you might very well be, matey. Because in today's episode, we will be talking about the Carry On films. In particular, Carry On Up the Khyber, considered to be the pinnacle of the series. However, you're probably wondering, well, what on earth is the Carry On series? Well, as usual, I feel that we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Just a smidge, as always.
So, let's start at the very beginning.
The Carry On film series primarily consists of 31 British comedies made between 1958 and 1992. The film's humour was in the British comic tradition of the music hall and bawdy seaside postcards, where double entendres and smutty suggestions were the order of the day.
And I want to take my knickers down.
Pardon?
Well, they're on the pole over there.
Oh, I see.
Producer Peter Rogers and director Gerald Thomas made all 31 of the Carry On films at Pinewood Studios, often employing the same crew and on a very strict budget. These budgetary constraints meant that a large proportion of the location filming was undertaken close to the studios in and around South Buckinghamshire, including areas of Berkshire and Middlesex. However, by the late 1960s, at the height of the series' success, more ambitious plots occasionally necessitated locations further afield, which included the Snowdonia National Park in Wales and the beaches of the Sussex coast, doubling as the Saharan sand dunes.
As you do.
Yeah, because, you know, they look like the Saharan sand dunes.
This is like in Superman 4, isn't it, where they used Milton
Keynes as Metropolis.
Metropolis. Well, the first entry in the series, Carry On Sergeant, in 1958, was about a group of recruits, including a very young Bob Monkhouse and someone who used to be Doctor Who.
Yeah, looks a bit familiar, doesn't it?
John?
Splink!
Doctor Who reference number one.
Number one. The film was sufficiently successful to inspire a further venture, again focusing on an established and respected profession in Carry On Nurse.
Colonel, whatever's going on?
Come, matron. Surely you've seen a temperature taken like this before?
Yes, Colonel, many times. But never with a daffodil.
When that too was successful, further forays with Carry On Teacher and Carry On Constable established the series.
Who's that? Miss Alcock. Miss Alcock.
go.
Many titles parodied more serious films, such as their tongue-in-cheek homages to James Bond films with Carry On Spying, spaghetti westerns with Carry On Cowboy, and Hammer horror films with Carry On Screaming.
The most impressive of these was Carry On Cleo in 1964, a send-up of the Richard Burton and Liz Taylor epic Cleopatra from the year before. Now, where the budget-conscious Carry On team made full use of the impressive sets and costumes which had been intended for that same film. The story goes that Cleopatra was going to be filmed at Pinewood, but because Taylor was ill, the schedule was put back, and the sets had already been built and everything, so the production was delayed.
So along come Rogers and Thomas. They happened to be at the studios one day. They see these wonderfully built sets. They asked what the sets were for, and when they were told, they quickly said, "All right, we'll have them." Funnily enough, Sid James is actually wearing the outfit that was intended for Richard Burton, which would explain why it looks so bloody massive on him.
But again, it looks brilliant, and it's probably one of the better looking carry-ons because it had actually had money thrown at it.
Yeah.
Just not necessarily their money.
Yeah. They just scooped along and took what was left of it. Not to mention, it features one of the best lines in a Carry On film
yes.
ever.
Infamy! Infamy! They've all got it in for me!
The movies were openly panned at the time by film critics, with many of them stating that they wouldn't even touch them with a barge pole, seeing them as nothing more as smutty, lowbrow entertainment. Perhaps as a result of this, the Carry On movies never won any awards, not even a sniff of BAFTA recognition in 20 years.
Well, despite the snub, the Carry On series was often very successful at the box office, and audiences found them to be extremely popular.
The series reached a somewhat unhappy conclusion with Carry On Emmanuel in 1978. Now, I don't really need to go into what this film was sending up. No pun intended. Suffice to say, it's not very good. There were several attempts to bring the series back during the 1980s, but the series didn't make a proper comeback until 1992 with the ill-advised Carry On Columbus, which again, not very good. Despite, however, the mixture of original Carry On stars and sort of contemporary British, sort of, in some cases, alternative comedy talent in there.
And it's not a good story. The jokes are somewhat feeble, despite so many great comedians being part of that cast. I mean, I absolutely love Rick Mayall and you know, Lexi Sale's brilliant, you know, but they just don't seem to fit in quite well. You have got like June Whitfield, and you've got
Cribbins is in it.
Bernard Cribbins is back in it. You've got
John Pertwee
back in.
Splink!
John Pertwee. Yes, of course, John Pertwee.
Reference number two.
We're going for a record in this one.
Oh hell yeah! This is the our equivalent of the super kickometer.
I think we should have a little thing at the bottom.
Doctor Who reference on it. Just kind of like
here,
someone there.
There we go.
There we go.
That's it. Give me more editing to do.
I live to serve.
It is a shame, to be honest, that the Carry On films did stick around for longer after 1978. It would have been very interesting to see what the Carry On team would have made of the science fiction genre following the success of Star Wars.
Oh, hello.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
Be quiet! Be quiet! Quiet! I'm not going to answer any more questions. Go away! Oh, I feel so queer.
Oh, right then.
So, plot.
Carry On Up the Khyber is the 16th in the series of Carry On films to be made, released in November of 1968. It stars Carry On regulars Sid James, Kenneth Williams, Charles Hawtrey, John Sims, Bernard Bresslaw and Peter Butterworth. The film is a spoof of Kipling-esque movies about life in the British Raj, made during the contemporary periods of Hollywood. The title is a play on words in the risque Carry On tradition, as Khyber, short for Khyber Pass, is rhyming slang for arse.
So, it is the year 1895, and we begin the film in the northwest frontier province of India. Sir Sidney Rough Diamond, played by Sid James, is Queen Victoria's governor in the British Indian province of Calabar, near the Khyber Pass. For Sidney, the most important thing is that the British should beat the Indians at polo.
Also at the match is the Qazi of Calabar, played by Kenneth Williams, who secretly desires to be rid of the British once and for all.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I think we're back in Reno Williams territory here. I've got it down in my notes. I didn't know that Kenneth Williams was Indian.
And there is the first major problem with Khyber. We touched on this in our review of Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins, where Chun, a Korean gentleman, was played by Joel Grey, who is definitely not. Here we have Carry On mainstays Bernard Bresslaw and the late great Kenneth Williams playing non-white characters, Warlord Bungit In and the Qazi respectively. To say that it's a little bit wrong when looking at this with 2019 eyes is probably an understatement.
That will teach them to bend turbans on the buses.
And the attempt at an accent as well, which I'm not even going to attempt to recreate here because I don't want to be accused of being a little bit racist. But yeah, they have a go at doing Indian accents, and to be honest, they're not too bad. Although Kenneth Williams does keep slipping in and out of his snide character more often when circumstances allow it.
May the benevolence of the god Shivu bring blessings on your house.
And on yours.
And may his radiance light up your life.
And up yours.
To be honest, the performances are rather silly. You can't take them too seriously.
No.
But nevertheless, it's like, yeah, we've essentially got blackface here, haven't we? Yeah.
Oh dear.
Not good.
Not good. Rebellion is always on the mind of the Qazi, but he knows that so long as the famous Highland Regiment, the 3rd Foot and Mouth, is present, victory is out of the question.
That's right. The 3rd Foot and Mouth, they're heavy and well known, aren't they? You know, obviously the Qazi has read of their exploits in the paper.
Absolutely.
Throw back to a previous episode. This fearless Scottish regiment strikes terror into the hearts of the natives, who refer to them as the Devils in Skirts, which actually does sound like a gang from the Warriors.
It does as well.
They are called this because they are said not to wear anything under their kilts.
What is there to fear from a warrior who wears nothing underneath his skirt?
Think how frightening it would be to have such a man charging at you with his skirts flying in the air and flashing his great big bayonet at you.
But the regiment's hard-won reputation is about to be lost as the result of one man.
Private Whittle.
Private Whittle.
Private Whittle. Private Whittle is caught not with his pants down, but rather with his pants on during an encounter with the warlord Bungit In, chief of the warlike Berber tribe. And this was after he was caught with a hot water bottle tucked in there.
And what, may I ask, is that thing doing in there?
It keeps my dangler warm.
Give it here! For the last time, stop calling it a dangler. It's a sporran!
Sir Sidney Rough Diamond, however, is most upset. Not because of the reputation of the regiment, but because this could mean the end of his cushy job as governor.
A little thing like this could start off a full-scale rebellion.
Oh, hardly, Shorthouse.
The massacre of thousands of innocent people.
Oh, please, really?
The end of British rule in India.
Oh, rubbish, Shorthouse.
And the finish of a cushy job for you.
You're quite right. We'll have to do something.
Much to his horror, it turns out that during a surprise inspection of his troops, that they're all wearing undergarments as well.
Worse still is that the governor's wife, Lady Joan Rough Diamond, secretly takes a photograph of the display. She's taken quite a strong fancy to the Qazi and thinks that if she gives him what he wants, he will give her what she wants.
The Qazi is overjoyed to hear this news and plans to use this information to discredit the Devils in Skirts by dispelling their tough image and revealing that, contrary to popular belief, they do indeed wear underpants under their kilts and that there's no devils in skirts to frighten anyone.
With this hard evidence in hand, the Qazi would be able to muster a ferocious Afghan invasion force, storm the Khyber Pass and reclaim India from British rule. But Lady Rough Diamond insists that the Qazi sleeps with her before she parts with the photograph. This is something that the Qazi tries to put off for as long as possible, claiming that he has servants to do everything for him, including making love.
And in a case of character acting maybe taken a little too far, Kenneth Williams kept dulling the mood in what was meant to be an apt moment of unbridled passion by persistently and rather loudly farting during his scenes with Joan Sims. Her ladyship decides to wait for him to change his mind and get a breath mint for his arse, presumably, by allowing the Qazi to take her away with him to Bunna Din's palace.
The Qazi's daughter, the Princess Jelly, witnesses Lady Joan's betrayal and quickly rushes off to inform Captain King, played by Roy Casson. of the news. Having fallen in love with the plucky young captain and fearing for his safety, she tells him to leave India immediately before the uprising can begin.
Bit weird seeing Roy Castle in this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the only time that Roy Castle appears in the Carry On film.
Yeah.
Like normally, this the serious sort of straight-laced role would be played by someone like Jim Dale and what have you. Although Jim Dale would often do like crazy sort of stunts and what have you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Roy Castle, probably better known from our generation for appearing in Record Breakers. Although we did pop up in Doctor Who at one point as well, didn't he?
Popped up in Doctor Who, the first Doctor Who film.
Splink!
Oh, number 3. Probably playing a kind of similar type of character. He played Ian, but he played it as kind of like a more comic relief type of thing as well. Although, saying that though, he was in other stuff as well. Doctor Who and the Daleks was with Amicus Productions, and I think he was also in one of Amicus's horror films as well. I think he was in Dr. Terror's Vault of Horror or something like that.
Yes.
He was in that. It was something to do with voodoo, which because he was a musician as well. That's what he was in there for as well. But yeah, it is really, really strange. And again, it is his only Carry On film.
Yeah, I mean, he's picked a great Carry On film.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's superb.
This is a Carry On film that Jim Dale's not in. It's a Carry On film that Barbara Windsor's not in. It's a Carry On film that Hattie Jakes isn't in. You know, sort of well known as sort of well-known.
Kenneth Connor's not in this one.
Kenneth Connor's not in this one. Who was in it from the start?
Yeah. I mean, it's really, really interesting that quite a lot of kind of the Carry On regulars aren't actually in this one.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
I mean, Terry Scott pops up in this. Terry Scott had previously appeared in Carry On Sergeant, like the first ever Carry On film, like in the 50s, and then all of a sudden randomly turns up in this one.
Yeah, around about 10 years later.
Yeah.
I think he was in the first one, then 10 years later, and then I think he's in maybe 2 or 3 of the preceding ones after this. He's definitely in Carry On Up the Jungle.
A team is dispatched to return both Lady Joan and the photo to British hands before the Kazi can show to the tribesmen. Alongside Keane, Private Whittle is told that he's been volunteered as well, and so has Brother Belcher, a compromised evangelist missionary who has a weakness for pretty ladies.
Belcher!
Captain Keane.
You could say that he saves fallen women, mostly for himself.
Absolutely. Disguised as Afghan generals, the interlopers are brought into the palace and, at the Qazi's suggestion, are introduced to Bunga Din's sultry concubines, all of them rather generous with their charms.
In the passionate moments that follow, all 4 men fall into an ornamental fountain. This washes the bearded disguises away from their faces, and they're captured and scheduled to be executed at sunset, along with Lady Joan. Princess Jelly aids their escape in disguise as dancing girls, but during the entertainment of the Afghan generals, the Qazi, contemptuous of an annoying Fakir's magic performance, demands that he sees the dancing girls instead.
Bring on the dancing girls. Get rid of this idiot.
Fakir, off.
The Carry On films were often seen what they could get away with the BBFC.
Yeah.
There's just enough of a gap between the words fakir and off to get away with this becoming a PG. They did have a very similar gag where they said he's just a travelling fakir, but that had to be cut out. But they were always seeing what they could get away with.
Just see, you know, and he's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just, he's really, really brilliant. Just basically say, I mean, a lot of it is about wordplay.
Yeah.
A lot of it is about
My
wordplay.
brother, the Count. I said Count.
My brother, the Count, wishes to meet him.
It's about the play on words and the comedy of, oh, did they say that? No, they didn't.
Splendid girl, and so helpful. Do you know she's been showing me how to stick the pole up?
Oh,
I know you had a lot of nice things to say about the BBFC when we last looked at public information films.
Yeah, we did.
But
yeah,
my God, can you imagine working for the BBFC, the British Board of Film Classification, when the Carry On films were around? They must have been tearing their hair out over some of this.
They were either tearing their hair out or absolutely killing themselves.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's probably both. After their disguises are seen through, the British and the princess flee, but Lady Rough Diamond accidentally drops the photograph during their escape. The group returns to the Khyber Pass to find its guards massacred and their weapons have been comically tampered with.
Have a taste of this, you swine!
A hasty retreat is beaten to the residency, where it turns out that the governor has been busy. with entertaining, in numerical order, the Kazi's 51 wives with afternoon Tiffin. Each one of them wishing to right the wrong that his own wife and the Kazi himself have supposedly committed against him, although no such wrong has actually taken place.
Short house? Sir? Don't disturb us, please. We're going to have a bit of tipping.
It's not time for Tiffin, sir.
Mind your own business. Any time is tipping time.
Right. Can we just pause very, very quickly?
Yes.
Right.
What is Tiffin?
What is Tiffin?
Well,
apart from there always being time for Tiffin, what is Tiffin?
well, I did a bit of research on this.
Oh, whoa. We've done research.
We have.
When the hell did we start doing research?
Well, we're on episode sort of 12, 13 now, so I think it's got to this point now where we can't wing this anymore.
No, we can't. We've done it for 11 episodes and now we have to write things down.
So Tiffin's actually an Indian English word for a type of meal. It refers to a light sort of tea time meal at around 3 p.m. Or to like a light breakfast. It usually consists of typical tea time foods. Now in the British Raj, where the film's set, Tiffin was used to define the British custom of having afternoon tea.
Ah,
so afternoon tea.
Afternoon tea.
What of Tiffin?
Right, okay.
But in parts of India, such as Mumbai, it's normally a packed lunch.
Okay.
Which normally consists of rice, lentils, curry, vegetables, chapatis or spicy meats. And a school-going child's lunchbox is fondly referred to as a tiffin box, which is lovely, I think. Wouldn't you like to send your kids to school with a tiffin box?
With a tiffin box?
There you go, kids. I've got packed a tiffin for you.
There's your tiffin box.
That's not the only meaning of the word.
Well,
tiffin,
kind of guessed.
Tiffin's also a Scottish word. It's a type of cake that was invented in Scotland in the early 1900s. That's usually composed of crushed biscuits, sugar, syrup, raisins, cherries and cocoa powder. Now, unlike regular cakes, Tiffin doesn't require baking. Instead, the confection is actually frozen, it's actually chilled until set. As a result, it might be referred to as a fridge cake. And funnily enough, Tiffin's still very popular today, with Dairy Milk actually doing their own version of a Tiffin bar as part of its Dairy Milk range. Of course, growing up with Carry On films, you know,
we think that Tiffin actually means something completely different.
Well, we do, but when you've got Sidney Rough Diamond and Brother Belcher both implying in separate occasions, we're just having a spot of Tiffin, and then they're going off with a pretty girl. It's like Tiffin's like code for something a bit rude.
Code word.
Like
it's code word for afternoon delight.
Yeah, what like afternoon delight, or having tea with the parson, or a bit of how's your father, you know. Oh, we're off for a spot of Tiffin, you know. So when I come across like Dairy Milk bars with
Tiffin in, you have a chuckle.
I point and snigger, you know.
After a browbeating from his wife, Sir Sidney calls a crisis meeting regarding the invasion, in which he resolves to do nothing, other than arrange a black-tie dinner for that evening. Dinner takes place during the final scenes, with the Kazi's army demolishing the residency, whilst the officers and ladies ignore the devastation and still manage to keep a stiff upper lip as they dine, despite explosive shells shaking the building and plaster falling into the soup.
This scene is considered to be one of the most memorable moments in the series. This is thanks in no part to the combined comedic intuition of the actors involved. I mean, the rest of them just act as if nothing's happened, you know, just calmly eating away, you know. Sidney James has got like a bottle of wine which shatters, and he just says to the waiter, "Oh, bring me another one, will you? This one's gone off." You've got Joan Sims saying, "Oh dear,
I've got a little plaster."
She's picking plaster out of her hair. And then you've got Peter Butterworth as Brother Belcher, who's the only person at the dinner party that is failing to maintain that stiff British upper lip and is like panicking like a normal person would, you know.
Finally, at Captain Keen's suggestion, the gentlemen walk outside to be greeted by a bloody battle being waged in the courtyard. Still dressed in black tie, mind you, Sir Sidney orders the regiment to form a line and lift up their kilts, this time exposing their implied lack of underwear.
The invading army is terrified at the sight of so many bare todgers on display and retreats at once. The third foot and mouth may have lost their drawers, but they've regained their reputation.
With the British Raj safe once more, the gentlemen walk back inside to resume dinner, whilst Brother Belcher acknowledges the British flag flying proudly as the film comes to an end.
Of course, they're all raving mad, you know.
What I love as well is that at the end, Sid James is saying, "Oh, it's all right, we'll tidy up in the morning."
just leave them all there. It'll be fine. We'll tidy up the bodies later.
Oh, dear.
That's all right. We'll clear it up in the morning.
So as you probably gathered,
we're in the pub.
We're in the pub.
We're in the pub.
We're back in this. We're back in this little corner of the pub that we're in when we did Zardos. We haven't been in this corner of the pub for a while. Year and a half ago. Yeah.
18 months and probably about God knows how many drinks we had.
Yeah. Last time we were sat here, you were saying.
Don't know.
You were saying, "Oh, Charlie Bowman."
No,
you were saying John Bowman.
Charlie Bowman is a lovely person.
You were saying John Bowman, your son is a lovely person, you know. It's like,
well, yes, you accused John Bowman of being on smack.
I did, yeah. You were going, you can tell I'm getting philosophical. You can tell I've had 5 pints, I'm really starting to get philosophical. Which was a quote so good.
By the way,
I put it in the trailer.
This is
Yeah, but we had, we had a light lunch, so it's going straight to the head.
Yes, so carry on. Not really much more we can say on this, to be honest with you.
As you probably gathered, we're huge fans of the Carry On movies, and I think people of a certain generation living in this country will be fans of Carry On.
Absolutely.
As I think Carry On is something that's going to sort of continue, not necessarily as like a reboot or a remake, but it'll be a case of new generations like discovering the old films.
Everything old is new again.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere is always going to see these films, discover these films for the first time, and that's going to perpetuate sort of the characters, because at the end of the day, when you watch them, it just gives you a great deal of nostalgia.
I mean, I wasn't
some
even
really nice warm feelings.
Some nice warm tingling feelings. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even alive when the majority of the Carry On films had been made, but I do have fond memories of watching them.
I think apart from Carry On, we both weren't alive.
We weren't.
Being made.
But I have fond memories of being around my grandma and granddad and grandma's house. Being looked after on school summer holidays and
bank holidays. There was usually always a you can always guarantee on a bank holiday on British TV there would be a Carry On film in the afternoon, and then B probably a Bond film after.
Probably a Bond film, yeah. But like my granddad had like a massive stack of Carry On VHS videos, and I used to watch them when I went round his house. I'm not sure what my mum used to think when she came round and realised what I'd been watching while I was around my grandma and granddad's, but there you go.
Well, this way, it could have been a lot worse. She should be thankful it was Carry On films.
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, considering that he also had like loads of kung fu movies as well, you can probably see where some of the influences came from.
Explains a lot, really.
Oh.
He was watching Carry On films and kung
fu movies.
A nice stranger was watching The Lady doing Silent Running at 7 years old, which probably
I can remember
quite a lot. And quite a lot of Doctor Who as well.
Yeah.
Splink!
Of all the Carry-Ons, Carrying Up the Khyber is frequently cited as the finest entry in the series.
With absolute good reason.
And if you find yourself in the company of someone who has never, ever seen a Carry-On film, then this is definitely the one to show them.
Definitely the one to show them. I would probably double bill with this and Don't Lose Your Head.
Don't Lose Your Head. Don't Lose Your Head is
Don't Lose Your Head is wonderful.
And Cleo, Doctor, a lot. It's just that when you get to the 70s, it starts to get a bit. But all from the 60s, yes, absolutely fantastic. So I've enjoyed looking at Carry On these kind of films.
I certainly have as well.
And I think
it would be nice if we could look at another one.
Yeah, I would
at some point.
Maybe sort of dip his toes in the Carry On genre again. Maybe look at one from the 50s. Maybe look at one of the black and white ones.
Yeah, one of the very, very original ones.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I won't make you sit through Sergeant and basically pepper it with William Hart and Doctor Who.
I'd be happy to sit through. I'd be happy to watch Sergeant. Well, we've mentioned Sergeant a few times. We've mentioned Teacher a few times as well.
I think Teacher might be a nice one.
Yes.
I think Teacher is one that definitely has. Teacher's definitely one that's got his heart in his place. He's got his heart in the right place. Teacher. So maybe down the line we shall revisit.
We shall revisit the Carry On film genre. So in the meantime, make sure to leave a like and a comment on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already to see more videos like this. We would really like to get to 3,000 subscribers if we can. Share this video with all your friends on social media. Please. Speaking of social media, follow us on Twitter and follow us on Facebook as well if you don't mind. That would be quite nice.
Links will probably be
They'll be in there, yes, and there'll be a bit at the end
Yeah,
with all the social
will
media
be.
hobbies. But until next time,
Indeed.
I am the Big Daddy D, David Mabley.
I'm Luke Murphy. Cheers, everybody. Hope everybody is well.
We've had an enjoyable romp through all things Carry On, and be sure to join us next time because no doubt we'll be looking at something else that's completely different as well. We've got a lot of different films on the short list. It's actually turned into quite a long short list, which is a massive contradiction.
It's probably the longest short list that's ever been written.
Yeah.
And let's be honest with you, more films and TV series and stuff just gets added to it every day as well.
Well,
how we're going to do this, I have no idea, considering it's all work, family,
and all the rest of
other
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
But hey ho, we'll do something.
That's up to us to work out. You know?
And we'll try and not leave it as long. As we have done.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah.
This is the first time that we've convened in about 2 months or something along those lines.
Which is probably why the outtakes video for this might be quite long. Right, well, until we see you next time, I'm the Big Daddy D, David Mabley.
I am Luke Murphy, and ooh, behave.
Ooh, start messing about. Right.
Cheers.
Cheers. See you later.
God, I'm so terrible. It really goes down well. Jesus, it really does go down well, doesn't it?
Right, I'm off to the bar. See you later.